Hey y'all, it's Stacy. Welcome back to the kitchen. Today we're tackling another Thanksgiving conundrum, how to make the perfect roasted turkey. Now, everybody's always intimidated by making a turkey because there's so much that can go wrong. I mean, I think everybody immediately has flashbacks to Christmas Vacation when they see them cut into that turkey and it just kind of vaporizes on the table in front of everybody. Well, I'm gonna show you the foolproof method to making the best, juiciest turkey that you've probably ever had. Now, it's a little unconventional, but trust me when I tell you this is the only way that I make turkey ever since I tried it. This is a spatchcocked turkey. Now, I know that sounds weird. Essentially what we're doing is we're butterflying this turkey. When we do that, we're gonna cut the backbone out, we're gonna flatten it out, and that's gonna do lots of things for us. Number one, when it's all flat like that, it's gonna cook a lot faster, it's gonna cook a lot more evenly, and we're gonna cook it at a really high temperature, which is gonna seal all those juices in, and we're gonna get crazy crispy skin. Trust me, you're gonna miss carving that beautiful turkey, but once everybody tries this, nobody is gonna miss that traditional turkey. Let's get started. I have about a 12 to 14 pound turkey here that I've thawed. Now, make sure that you check the packaging. It'll give you some guidelines as to the exact time or the length that you're gonna need to prepare to thaw your turkey. I always recommend that you thaw your turkey in the fridge. It usually takes about 4 days for a turkey of this size. Now, you can do this with a larger turkey. You just have to adjust your cook time, and you're gonna need a bigger pan. I will say I've done almost a 20-pound turkey using this method, just adapting it a little bit, but I find that this 12 to 14 pound works the best. All right, so the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna cut the backbone out of the turkey. Now, there's no pretty way to do this. It's pretty graphic. If you're sensitive, you might wanna turn away. A dry turkey is a whole lot easier to handle, so have some paper towels on standby. We want to make sure we keep it as dry as possible. What we're going to do is we're going to flip our bird over, dry it all off here. As I said, there's no pretty way around this. Now, you're going to need some seriously hefty poultry shears here. Poultry shears are going to have a little curve because this is a pretty intense process. What we're going to do is we're going to use these shears to just run down one side of the backbone. As I said, there's no pretty way around this. Normally what I do when I'm doing this is I like to do it, if you have a big sink, you can just do it right in the sink, because what happens is, you know, it helps you control all those juices. And then it's a whole lot easier to rinse the sink out. But it's a whole lot harder for you guys to see what I'm doing over there. So I'm doing it right here on the countertop. Now you see I'm not doing this directly on my wood board. You know, a lot of people say that it's perfectly safe to do that way. I just like to put some plastic there just because another layer to protect us from some salmonella poisoning is never a bad thing. And nobody wants to end up with that on Thanksgiving. So you can see it's taking a little work.
A little elbow grease.
Yeah, like I said, there's no easy way around this. You know, I've tried doing it with like a super sharp chef's knife. I'm gonna break a sweat doing this.
That seems totally dangerous with a knife. But
well, that's what I was gonna say. The reason that I don't love the knife is because of the effort that goes into it. You know, you really increase the risk of hurting yourself. All right.
Those look like pruning shears, by the way.
Right. These are some seriously hefty shears. They work great for this. Okay, so let's talk about this for a second. You know, before I said that we're gonna cook this, we're gonna seal all those juices inside. Now, what do we need those juices for? Well, we need them to make gravy. So what happens with this method is you need to kind of think of another way to make gravy. So what I like to do is take this backbone, save it, cook it with some aromatics, boil it down, use this to make your broth, to make your gravy. That way, because what happens with this is you're not gonna have tons of juice in this pan because we're gonna keep that juice inside the meat and not have it drain all over our pan here. Okay, so we've got our turkey butterflied or spatchcocked here. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip it back over. Again, having all these paper towels is a good thing because it just kind of helps us keep everything dry, and that just makes it a little bit easier to handle. I'll use these one more time to cut this end right here. You can also, at this point, trim away excess skin and fat both around the neck and around the tail. Regular shears work better, but this is all I've got my hands on right now. Okay, so it's a little indiscreet, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull those thighs and legs out. What we have to do here is we're gonna break this breastbone right down the middle because that's what's gonna help us flatten this out and make sure that it cooks evenly and a lot more quickly. So what we're gonna do is just kind of place your hands right in the middle of the turkey breast and just press. Again, there is no graceful way to do this. What you gotta do is you gotta break that wishbone there and just kind of split that breastplate so that we get this as flat as possible.
And now you don't have to go to the gym.
Right. Yeah, if you're frustrated by anything going on at Thanksgiving, this is the way to take your frustration out. I'm gonna trim this excess skin here off the top. All right, so here we go. Our turkey has been
So let me just get a good look at that.
spatchcocked. You can kind of see what happens here. Now, so if you think about the turkey in its original form, you know, it has this big cavity in the middle, and what happens is that acts as an insulator, which makes you have to cook that turkey so much longer to get it cooked all the way through, and cooking it longer means there's more time for all those juices to run out, which of course is not a great thing. We want nice, juicy turkey. I've got a large rimmed baking sheet here that I've sprayed with, well, I lined it with aluminum foil. I sprayed it with nonstick cooking spray. I scattered about 4 large carrots, 4 ribs of celery, and an onion that I chopped. What this is gonna do is it's gonna hold the turkey up off of the pan so that some of that heat can circulate, and it's also gonna help to flavor those juices, the ones that we do end up with, to help make us even more flavorful gravy. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this right on top of our vegetables here. I'm gonna clean up just a little bit. It's always easier to clean as we go. And again, you're dealing with poultry here, so attention to cleanliness is always a good thing. Wash your hands frequently. Make sure you've got some disinfecting wipes that you can wipe everything down. Just want to make sure that we're practicing appropriate food safety when dealing with something like this. Which also brings up another point. You know, there's a lot of talk on the internet about whether you should wash chicken or poultry before you cook it. You should never wash chicken or poultry before you cook it, because what happens is the splatter that comes off of rinsing it will actually spread salmonella more. And if you cook it appropriately, the heat is going to kill anything, any kind of bacteria that there was anyway. So you shouldn't really have to worry about that. You're just increasing the risk of spreading that. All right, we're going to move this back over here because now we're going to season this up. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to tuck these wing tips under the turkey.
I'm gonna come over here and see.
Because what happens is at a super high temperature, like I said, we're gonna cook this at 450 degrees, those wingtips will burn. So we're going to tuck those in to make sure that doesn't happen. Now, I've touched the turkey again, so I'm gonna wash my hands one more time, because what we're gonna do is we're gonna make our seasoning to go on the turkey. Now,
So I had a quick question.
Yeah.
Okay, so brining. Some people really want to brine their turkey.
Absolutely.
You can do that before you do the spatchcock method.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
This method works great regardless. So if you like to brine your turkey, you can totally do that. I'll be totally honest, I used to be a die-hard briner, and when I started cooking the turkey this way, I felt like I didn't need to brine much anymore.
Okay.
So I don't, but you absolutely can. Okay, so let's talk about this for a second. In my bowl here, I've got a tablespoon of salt, a teaspoon of black pepper, and a teaspoon of just an all-purpose poultry seasoning. To that, I'm going to add a half a cup of vegetable oil, or you could use olive oil too. Now, the reason I like to use oil is Again, we're talking about high heat, 450 degrees. As much as I love butter, and if y'all know me, you know I love butter. Butter, the milk solids in butter are gonna burn at 450 degrees. So opting for something like a vegetable oil or an olive oil that has a higher smoke point is gonna mean we don't get that burned flavor on our turkey. Okay, now all we're gonna do is just coat our turkey in this seasoned oil. This is gonna help our skin get nice and golden brown. And when I tell you that you're gonna end up with the crispiest, crunchiest turkey skin you've ever had, you're not gonna believe me until I show you, because it's just ridiculous. Like I didn't believe it either until we started testing this recipe. And like I said, everybody in my family, I'm the one that always gets assigned to make the turkey. And once I made it this way, everybody insists that the turkey has to be done like this. Now, a couple things. You can also flip the turkey over and brush the inside with some of this oil mixture to add more flavor. You could also use your fingers to remove the skin from the turkey breast and kind of brush some of that between the skin and the meat, and then just cover it back up. And that's it. This is gonna go in a 450 degree oven. Now, the other great thing about this is just how quickly it cooks. This 14 or about 14-pound turkey is gonna cook in less than an hour and a half. So 450, I've taken the top rack out of my oven just to make sure we've got enough clearance. It's gonna go in here. You can watch this, because if you find that some of it starts to brown too quickly, you can tint it with a little aluminum foil. You can also reduce the temperature a little bit. The thing is that every turkey and every oven are gonna be a little bit different, so you may have to make some adjustments. I get questions sometimes about basting a turkey. You can baste this turkey, but there are two problems with that. Number one, there aren't gonna be tons of juices to baste with, because all those juices are gonna seal in. And when we baste a turkey, we're coating that skin with liquid, which is gonna prevent it from getting nice and crispy. So we're gonna let this hang out in the oven at 450 for about an hour and 15 minutes. And as soon as it's done, I'm gonna show you what this looks like. All right, so our turkey has been in there about an hour and 20 minutes. And I'm telling you, you always joke about smell-o-vision. Y'all, if you had smell-o-vision, there's something about cooking that turkey at that super high temperature that just makes the whole house smell amazing. So our goal here is to get the thickest part of the thigh at about 165 degrees and the breast meat at about 155 degrees. Now, those aren't final temperatures. That's perfect. Those aren't final temperatures, but what's gonna happen is what's called carryover cooking. So once we take this out of the oven, it's gonna continue to cook. So that should give us the extra 5 degrees that we need to be able to hit that target temperature. Now, I'm gonna be super careful here because there is some broth in our pan. We wanna make sure that we don't lose that, because we're gonna need that to make gravy. I want you to get super close on that.
That looks amazing.
So you can see how crispy that skin gets. Like, can you hear it? It's like super crispy, but I'm telling you, this is gonna be the juiciest turkey ever. Now, what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna let your turkey rest for about 15 or 20 minutes, because what's gonna happen is with any kind of meat that you cook like that, you wanna let it rest. Those juices are gonna redistribute. If you slice it right now, all that juice is gonna run out and you're gonna end up with dry turkey. Let it rest, carve it as usual, use that broth to make some delicious gravy, and Thanksgiving is ready. Folks, you can find this full, super easy recipe, except for that whole spatchcocking part, but trust me, once you do it one time, it'll be a breeze. Don't be afraid, just get your frustrations out. You can find this full recipe and tons more of recipes to get you ready for Thanksgiving at southernbite.com. Y'all enjoy.